YSK Apple Music deletes your original songs and replaces them with Apple-protected versions. YSK I recently made the mistake of allowing Apple Music to sync with my old iTunes library, which was full of MP3s and ripped CDs from over 10 years ago, aka my rightful files. After syncing the library so I could have my iTunes songs on my phone, I started noticing that some of them are no longer explicit versions and some are just plain missing from their folders. In an attempt to save effort, Apple Music may replace your files with their own stored versions that are not necessarily identical to the ones you have. These files are protected and are not really your property anymore. And in some cases, if there's any lapse in payment or something on their end messes up, you might lose your files forever. Like I did. I now have hundreds of songs missing and unrecoverable. Thought I would put this out there to save someone else some pain. Thank you. Now I know where all those songs went. I have my own songs in my iTunes library and they delete them sometimes. They basically are like stream from us and listen only to us or you will be silenced. I've always been confused about how I'll have a song that I got from the band's album 10 years ago. The Apple Music version is different and almost sounds like a live version. For example, some Bad Religion and Alkaline Trio sings are completely different from the album version and almost sound acoustic. I too lost a vast collection of old house and techno music I used to play at clubs that are now unplayable on CDJs due to Apple's formatting. Part of the reason I started downloading all my music, and keep it backed up on my computer. I care about my music collection too much to entrust it to a company that would rather profit on me not having my own downloads. Spotify fucked me with that once before. Thank you, fuck iTunes. My mostly bootlegged library dating to Napster is on an external drive. Never synced it. It will remain that way. It took me forever, but I'd finally uploaded all my CDs to Google Play. Full albums became just folders with 1 or 2 songs in it, the rest gone. I never understood this, but now I do. And that is why I use a third-party app for my music. Doppler, if you're interested. It's my music. On my device. Apple is nice for streaming, but I don't trust them to not mess with my stuff. The cloud is someone else's computer and they can edit and delete your files. Always keep a local backup. Spent my lifetime building library and now missing songs I don't even remember having with duplicates and clip art which don't match tracks. It's a mess. Try my best not to think about it, just here to share the pain. Another reason why old people are right. We bought shit, it was ours. Now people don't own anything. They rent it. Live in the evanescent life. On the upside, hoarders will cease to exist. So there's that. You'll own nothing and be grateful. Never synced my iPods, never will. Grandpa's pirated Sinatra MP3s ain't going anywhere. They have value because he's dead. I also have a bunch of YouTube MP3 from the early 2010s, and I cherish them. Always, always, always have a backup copy of your music library. I knew this would be a problem for years. The very fact that you can't just plug in your iPhone and move over an MP3 file to the phone is mind-boggling to me. I will never own an iPhone for this reason. They deleted my uploads from CD when I ended my free Apple Music whatever with them years ago. Refuse to use Apple Music now. Actions of a trillion-dollar company. That is useful, not surprising. Apple was accused of this in 2015 when Apple Music launched inside the iTunes app. At the time they said it was a big and would be fixed. Personally, I've found that this doesn't happen to me. My original MP3 files dating back to 2001 are still there. Was wondering why so many of my songs from CDs I had uploaded to my computer had disappeared. That is some bullshit. Add this to the list of things I hate about Apple. Also a general reminder to back up as it can save you from situations exactly like this. Assume your software is hostile and keep backups accordingly. That's only the Apple files. It shouldn't affect your MP3. I got in the habit of doing an MP3 copy of all the songs I bought from the iTunes store because they had a bad habit of locking out some of the older songs I purchased until I entered the account password. I haven't used an Apple product since 2010, thanks for reaffirming that decision. Figures. So I need some confirmation here. Is this only if you sign up pay for Apple Music? I have never used the paid service or the trial, but I do sync music using Windows and iTunes, if that makes a difference. I have backups, but it's always a pain to restore if you need to. That should be illegal if it isn't. Oh nope, this definitely happened to me. Lost some gems to this cruel truth. Yeah, that sounds like them. Fuck Apple. The most devastating thing you happened to me was losing 8 years worth of downloading music and getting songs not on iTunes or Apple Music. It took me 3 years. You recently began again. I cried actual tears. Data recovery software is pretty inexpensive and not too difficult to use. Might not be able to get everything back, but you can probably get some of it back. It never does this if you don't delete the original. That's why I stopped using iTunes altogether. Lost way too many songs, and those I tried to reload songs into my library but they kept vanishing. Still kind of salty about the forced U2 album that I can never get rid of. VLC Media Player app works exactly like Apple Music if you tag the files with MP3 tag and it doesn't remove your files. You can pay for $24.99 to get Apple Match, which will upload your original files and keep them instead of replacing them. I think this could be worth a small claims lawsuit or at least a legal complaint for the thousands of lost files. And that's another reason not to subscribe to Apple Music. My CD rips are doing just fine. So Apple Music includes the old iTunes Match service, where it checks your music against what it has on the store, and offers the store version for DRM-free download and streaming on all your devices. If it doesn't find a match, it just uploads your file in all its 64 kilobit to iF lossless splendor as original files. So it's not true cloud storage, but by uploading low-quality rips you can then stream high-quality stuff straight from the store. Ask me again why I refuse to pay for music. They exist in their original form on the computer you started the library on. I loaded my library into iTunes on my main MacBook and have it synced across my phone and work MacBook, and the host MacBook still has all the original MP3s and waves. It's just the matched songs on the synced devices that are Apple Music versions. So just keep one host system, that is where you load the music into your library, and I think you can avoid this issue. Isn't this basically stealing and pirating? Forget some of your music is gone. Say you have a 15-year-old CD ripped and it gets replaced with a remastered version. You didn't pay for the newer version and yet they gave it to you for free. The artist is losing out on royalties. This is very sketchy. This is why you have backups, local and cloud. iTunes is still around? I remember it was a thing like 15 years ago. With Winamp and RealPlayer. I transitioned from downloading to Spotify and I'm very happy with the outcome. They have an option to sync it with local files. Is it a similar situation? I discovered that my iPod Nano 4th Gen still works on an iHome from the same era. 2,300 songs, and I can never sync it to iTunes again because it warned that all my non-official tracks would be deleted. Though I wouldn't mind deleting all the Glee covers, so over that phase. Everyone repeat after me. Backups, backups, backups. Why are Apple censoring explicit songs? Aren't most songs explicit? This feels like something you should be able to sue and win for. Been hating them for 20 years. Digital music should not be proprietary. Nuff said. I found this out the hard way. They suck. This is why I still don't own anything Apple, and haven't used iTunes in a very long time. I lost 50 or 60 albums in the 90s. From the 90s. I've no idea what year it was on an iPod Touch with a little wheel and the screen. That's what I remember. Some were legitimately mine, some I had ripped from friends' copies. iTunes deleted almost every single one of them. I will never use an Apple product again after their products prove to be as shit as fast fashion jeggings. Jesus, that sucks. Over the years I've had music deleted from my library and I just have to buy the same song again but from a different album. Solution: switch to Android, keep all your files stored on SD card, keep an additional backup on another drive elsewhere. Makes it easy to transfer everything with a new device too. Reason number 487 to never use Apple. And yet another reason to stay away from Apple. All I want to do on iTunes is delete the free U2 album I downloaded on a whim. I would buy the album if I would never have to start randomly playing it every time I connect to Bluetooth. Does this also impact songs that aren't on Apple Music? Some MP3s I've added have started showing grayed out as if they're region locked or something, despite not even being available on Apple Music in the first place, hence why I uploaded MP3s from 2010. Which is why I pirate. I posted this a few weeks ago on a thread about a similar topic. For iPhone users. I can't speak for drag and drop methods, but on my NAS, I have all my music files. I downloaded all my fave music to my VLC folder via the Files or Folder app, can't remember the name. Then you open VLC Player, click on the music icon on the bottom, and you can see all your music. It's not the best, but at least I can listen to my niche oddball MP3 collection. They took my music a long time ago. This isn't new. I'll give them credit that it's tough to torrent music now and listen to it. I just don't listen to music as much as I used to, which is sad. PM me please with workarounds. Save effort. This is why I don't use any services like that, and I just use Windows Media Player and drag and drop stuff onto my phone. Any music I paid for, I have copies of on my computer. Archive everything. Take them to small claims and request that they return your property or compensate you. They'd likely settle just to avoid lawyer fees. YSK then that there are sites like where you can purchase music legitimately in digital DRM-free format, a way to still get fair ownership of the music you legitimately purchased, while still supporting the artists whose music you enjoy. That sounds an awful lot like theft. Sue them. That is destruction to property plus damages due to emotional harm. Yeah, this sucks because I know some of us, myself included, paid for songs years ago before Apple Music was a thing. To spend all that dollar to potentially lose them is BS. Did you have a backup? Our data hoarder has a wiki on backups. Our music hoarder is a good subreddit to have a look about music files. This is why I forbid iTunes from existing on any device that I own. I will not willingly give Apple a single dime of my money. The conclusion should be never to sync your local memory with any service. Just transfer them onto a cloud drive manually. This goes for everything Apple, Google, Microsoft. Once you sync, you allow the services to manage your local data. Likelihood of losing something is higher than zero, so, as far as I'm aware, it's enough of a likelihood for me to avoid it altogether. 2 words. Foobar 2000. Didn't Bruce Willis sue them because he wanted to pass his music collection on to his daughter and Apple said the music didn't belong to him?